Live edge. Why not, right? Alright, so I've got this little blank. It's about 7 inches across and about 4 inches, 5 inches deep. I'm going to try to make a live edge bowl out of this. So right now I'm just trying to rough shape this thing, and one of the things that I learned from watching Brian Havens was this sort of from the inside out cut. And if you see me stick the tool to it and then kind of use a rowing motion, pushing the handle away from me, so it kind of moves the tip of the tool like you would be rowing a boat, and it tends to really hog off material pretty quickly, and it's a lot easier than trying to use a push cut. I found that a push cut just doesn't work very well. The tool just starts to bounce. So using that pull cut, kind of a rowing motion that I learned from, like I said, watching Brian Havens, and if you guys haven't checked out his YouTube channel, even though he's not with us anymore, his YouTube channel's still there, and it's a great source. So I advise you check that out. But he's got some great tips on there, and I learned a lot from just watching him. So that's kind of what I'm just trying to hog off some material right here, get it kind of in a shape, get this bottom kind of trued up a little bit, and it's a lot easier to just use that motion that Brian, his videos kind of taught me, was just put the tool in there, kind of engage it a little bit, and then start pushing the handle away from you, and it'll kind of take a scoop each time, and it starts getting that. It's a lot easier than anything else I've learned. So so I'll go back at it. Okay, so I'm starting to get that kind of into the shavings in my pocket. I'm starting to get that into a shape that I like. I kind of want to work on this front edge here. You know, it's starting to look good there, but we're still flat here. I don't like how far down that's scooping. We're still flat here, so I at least want to get to a point where I'm not flat here and I'm not flat here, and then we'll see where these two live edge scoops come up to, and then I'll kind of work this back before I start putting the tenon on it. So I'm going to go back to working on this part. I think it's getting a little more balanced now, so I've been turning the speed up slowly as I go, but I think it's getting a little bit better. We can start turning it up a little bit more, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I've got that part rounded off on both sides of that. Pretty happy with that side. This side, the live edge scoop still comes down pretty far, but I don't want to go a whole lot smaller on the bowl. So I'm gonna kind of shape this a little bit more, try to get a tenon on it, and then we'll look at smoothing this up. So we'll work on that. Yeah, so I think I'm kind of pleased with that. A couple things happened there. It's got a weird crack right there. So I'm hoping that it doesn't go past where I put the tenon, and I'm hoping that the tenon works. It should be okay. I may put a little super glue in there, try to glue that together so that it stays. It is a tenon. I'm going to cut it off later, but I just want to make sure that it stays in the jaws. Probably going to sand this up and maybe put a finish on it, and we'll flip it around. Okay, let's get some finish on this thing. So I'm going to use Odie's oil. I like this stuff. It's easy to use, and it's what I have. So we're going to throw that on there and then see how it looks. Yeah, not too bad. Take a little Howard's paste wax, throw that on there. Now we can get this flipped around, put in the chuck, start hollowing it out. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is bore this thing out. So I'm going to grab a Jacob's chuck. We'll put that in the tailstock. And then I'll get a Forstner bit for that. Okay, we're ready to start making us a place to start. Okay, I want to check our depth and see how far down we are. We can just do that with a pencil. And that's about where I want it to be. Alright, time to start hollowing this thing out. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about the gloves and a lot of comments about how you shouldn't wear gloves around things that spin. And I know, I've heard it all before. I like these gloves. I don't like shavings all over my hands. It makes them itch and dries them out. So I like these gloves. They're tight. They're not baggy. I try not to wear baggy things around things that spin. So I know you're going to comment on the gloves, but I prefer to have these. I think they work very well and they're nice and tight. So let's get to hollowing this thing. Tenenbrook. That's what I was afraid of. Okay, so where are we here? That crack that I was a little worried about, it broke, and the tenon broke, and it flew out of the chuck. So I put a faceplate on it, put it back in the faceplate, and cut the tenon off, put a mortise in it, and then now it's back in the chuck in a mortise instead of a tenon. I have some concerns about how thin the bottom of that bowl is now, because I had it cut for a tenon, now it's cut for a mortise, so it's getting kind of thin in the bottom. So I need to keep an eye on that. I have flowed some super glue in that crack. Hopefully it will hold. So we're going to keep an eye on it and try to hollow this thing out again. So let's get to that. All right, well, we'll call that done. There it is, my first live edge bowl. Still got a little bit of finish work to do in the mortise there, but finished with Ollie's oil. I think it came out pretty good. Gave me a couple problems here and there, but all together, I think it's not bad for a first time. So live edge is definitely a little more difficult, but I learned quite a bit. So there you have it. Thanks.